At the top of the world here, Joe versus Rickie, 2 9-0s, ready to battle. Looks like we got Rickie on the play.
I'm seeing a little daylight savings here in their faces, a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, just unfair. Unfair. You beat 9-0 at your first tournament, and you're like, everything's going great, and then you're like, what do you mean I get to sleep an hour less?
Yep.
Because it was a long day when we got out of here, when this tournament actually ended. 9, 10 o'clock, you want to get some food real quick, then you go home, get some sleep, get ready for your day 2. It can be a little brutal.
Magic tournaments are a test of endurance for sure.
They really are, yep. So here we go, a bobble, be able to draw a card, starting with the Shifting Woodlands, Arid Mesa for Joe, and just a pass, not what you really want from your aggressive deck with no 1-drops.
Yeah, Boros has to get going here. Without, Ranger Captain is a point of interaction, but there really aren't that many other points. No counter spells, no thought seizes, so the impetus is on Joe to have a fast clock and kind of put a lot of pressure on Rickie to put it together.
Ooh, the one thing, I don't know if Joe held him there on that, but I see the one of March in hand. I would have snapped that off on that Urza Saga with Chapter 1 on the stack.
Right, so yeah, with Saga, you have a moment where the Saga comes into play. It's putting the first chapter on. It can't actually tap for mana.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just sitting there, and you have a window to fire off a March, like you said.
Yeah, and to be fair, maybe you just want to hang on to March to really have it be a counter-target breach. But then you're leaving up mana all this time. Maybe the Surveil was important to Joe's hands. Everything's a little contextual, but I'd be snapping that off.
Yeah, I cannot turn down a 1-mana Stone Rain in any scenario.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Crack the earth, but only your opponent's earth?
Yeah.
It's crack the earth, right? You sacrifice a land?
Each player stack's permanent. Yep.
Oh, okay.
There's raise. That's
yeah.
another one, too. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of good. Oh, yeah. Our directors are on point this
morning.
There we
go.
Somehow I got a good night's sleep. I don't know how.
Yeah. They actually haven't left. They just stayed here. They're like, you know what? Daylight savings time is here. They're just kicking it. All right, Johnny comes down, comes in with a cat. And, all this being said, with Joe not marching the land, Rickie could untap and win the game.
That is true. Yeah, a little light on colors here, but I imagine there's a little more going on. It'd be hard to keep a Woodland Urza Saga hand. There you go. So easy game. And yeah, we might see some fireworks here.
Yeah, game could be over if we have a couple of 0-drops. And when you start with Grinding Station on 2, that's usually a tall sign. Maybe you have nothing else to play, but with a Mox alone, definitely could be enough. Instead, goes with a very great play of Tamiyo. Mox Amber has the ability to just start cranking out 3/3s, 4/4s, and there'll be 5/5s by the time Rickie can attack. So here's kind of the plan B with Urza Saga, and now even more apparent this March is going to look like it maybe really wanted to take down this Saga.
Yeah, and this is like Joe's like, oh, good, I'm still alive. But that was still a really good turn.
Oh, yeah. Amazing turn. You got a very powerful creature down. You got yourself a Mox Sapphire down. And now you get to crank out a 3/3 blocker. Looks like the cat's coming in just to serve its purpose of dying to flip a Johnny.
Yep, and Rickie declines, says, nah, we're good. You can keep a 1/2 creature in play.
Yep, you got it. And passes with that March available.
Yeah, so this is obviously passing with interaction up is not a bad place to be for Joe, but there's got to be more pressure in play.
Got to be more pressure, a lot more. That had to be the Ranger Captain turn, really. So here is Galvanic just discharge.
So making sure he can get it before the Construct and then the 0 or 1 mana artifact comes into play. But still, I mean, Rickie's looking great here.
Yeah, I would have liked to see that Construct get grinded away since the Grinding Station will untap just free cards into your yard. But like you were saying, daylight savings time.
Yeah.
Unmerciful for all of us.
It's interesting because usually we say these kind of things at the end of a tournament.
Yeah.
It's round 8, round 9. Players are exhausted.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like, well, I'm at 75%. And you're at 70%, and I'm going to hope that I'm a little more percent than you are. But this is like reverse fatigue, right? In the morning with the daylight savings, like it's on both ends of a tournament.
I always struggle with the morning more than the afternoons when I'm playing. It's always that first round. I need to shake it off, So it's always my tournament ritual to whoever I'm sitting across from at that table, with 20 minutes left, hey, will you battle me a game?
Cool.
Let's get that going. And I always know I'm going to do well at a tournament if I get destroyed in the games. If I do well, no, it's not going to work.
You see, I avoid playing games before tournaments. If I lose, I'll feel bad.
Okay.
You've got to go with the ignorance of like, my deck's perfect. Everything's perfect.
Yes.
Go from there.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you play only perfect decks.
Yes.
All right, discharge on a Tamiyo. Joe is discharge flooded here. Looks like we have Thraben Charm. Also still have that March.
Yes, a lot of removal spells, which, there are obviously creatures in the Grinding Breach deck, and they do need to be dealt with, but again, pressure is job number one.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll see Joe probably side out some of these Galvanic Discharge, but once again, that's the struggle and the reason why Teamer Breach is good. We're going to see this all day, and it's the fact that, sure, you're playing against a combo deck, so naturally you take out your removal spells, but they do have Tamiyo, they have Emery, these card advantage engines, and you have Constructs, which can beat you down. So that is really why the deck is just so hard to play against. It's hard to sideboard against.
Yeah, the Mox-fueled Urza Saga draws, they're aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, they just do a lot of damage fast.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Here's a Hedge Maze to do some surveilling here from Rickie. Try to find some stuff. One breach away.
Is Joe passing again? Wow.
Looks like a pass again.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if there's a Ranger Captain or two in Joe's hand. Asking why would Joe keep his hand? Like, that's one of the best cards available, but the mana base not really cooperating.
Absolutely. I did see Thraben Charm and the March, but once again, that's not really agreeing with the mana base either. But at least there is some interaction to be able to get this going. Construct chunking in for 4. Who's the beatdown now?
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing that the combo deck is attacking for more damage than the aggro.
Yes. And Rickie does have a plan. I mean, if Joe wanted to just do this, the attack for 2, say go, it's not very common, but the Shifting Woodland on Urza Saga in your upkeep to be able to get counters on it and then slowly have it be a construct-making machine is online. You don't see it very often, but
I do kind of want to see that. That sounds cool.
I do want to see it too.
Yeah, and this is the thing where, like, if the combo deck can get into this stance where it's already winning the game without comboing, I can just sit back and say, all right, deal with this. All right, now deal with this and craft the perfect hand and kind of get set up and have plenty of time to do that. That's scary.
Yeah, that's always my favorite thing to do is to play around hate cards. You play around it by punching your opponent in the face. Not literally, please, everybody, not literally, but by just getting some constructs going, force them to pay attention to that, and then when they do, be like, okay, now I have the combo.
Yeah, well, it's like that two turns you gave me to cast these Preordains and to draw these extra cards and describe. Oh, and now my hand's perfect. Yeah.
Exactly, yep.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, gotta love it. So there is the beatdown here for 3.
All right, well, white source has been found. So now we have 2 white sources, but still just a pass.
Still just a pass, but you do have 2 pieces of interaction up. So, this is not bad, but the race is still pretty close here. And here is a Preordain to try to check out some cards.
Ooh, a push. I love a push. Could be anything.
Yep, absolutely. Random cantrip. And it does seem so far that the cantrip or the draw spell of choice in these decks, one of our 9-0 players only playing 1 Preordain but playing some spicy Karns, which we'll be checking out a little bit later. But for the most part, stock up and Preordain, that was kind of the decision going into this event. Seems like Preordain is doing better so far.
Yeah, you want to go deep and you want to go deep cheap. Realistically, see as many cards as you possibly can. Stock up is extremely powerful, but 3 mana is a lot to ask. So understandable.
Very true. Yep, competing with the Flame of Anor slots as well. Here's a Stomping Ground untapped and a pass. Interesting.
It's a little shift here. No pun intended.
Yeah.
From offense to defense, but still, that is a very large construct on defense. Blocking the. Oh wait, nope.
Okay, still within combat. And does decide to pass.
Now, of course, the risk here is trying to block the cat.
Yeah.
Will flip a Johnny into a Planeswalker.
Absolutely. But this could easily be the type of turn where you set up one of the really nice plays of block the cat, flip trigger on the stack, then kill it. Or even let it flip, Unholy Heat it before you get into main phase 2.
Yeah, it's weird having a Planeswalker, like, enter at a non-main phase time.
It is very strange.
It does open up some pretty interesting interaction windows.
Yep, I love it. I think the card's really cool. You know, I actually really like some of these creatures that flip into Planeswalkers. They all seem pretty reasonable. They're all powerful. But, you know, Modern Horizons, that's kind of the name of the game with these sets. They bring some power into Modern for sure, and I like the design quite a bit.
It's a cool way to get a Planeswalker to playability, right? You know,
yeah.
In these days, Modern's so fast and powerful, just a 4 or 5 mana Planeswalker, Jace the Mind Sculptor, for example, a Form of Terror, just doesn't really cut it. It's hard to tap out for that. So having a card you can play early and then work for later is pretty cool.
Yep, 100%. There we see in the background of Rickie, we see the young streamer, Young Dingo, up against Killa SUV for anybody who plays Magic Online. An absolute crusher of events. You don't. It's a top 7 for Modern challenges, and then Killa SUV always dominating with Breach. And there's this march. See, I want to go back to this so much that we had that opportunity to march the Saga, and instead we marched a token and galvaniced another token. Something to keep an eye on to be able to maybe mitigate the problems there.
Yeah, it would have been a pretty different game.
It really would have. Like, Grinding Station wouldn't have been there. Mana would have been a little more tied up.
Yeah, no Mox Opal.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Got the Opal, too, of course.
And then aggressive lines, too, where March is an interaction point for the combo. Here just uses a Sword of Plowshares, you know, to push some damage through.
Yeah, absolutely. And here is Guide of Souls. Now the pressure is on. The pressure is fully on from Joe with that Thraben Charm being held up. So, I mean, right now, Rickie really needs both a Breach and one of these counter spells, the Spell Snare or the Swan Songs. You know, when Boros Energy was the #1 deck, I think the thing I absolutely loved, I played 3 Spell Snares, 2 in the main, 1 on the side, because all their hate cards were 2-drops and all their threats were 2-drops. And it was the 40% deck, so you really had a powerful counter spell at all steps of the game.
Corey.
Yeah.
You don't got to sell me on Spell Snare.
I'm
already
a
buyer,
fan?
my friend. Already a buyer.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Absolutely love that card.
It just feels so good.
Yeah.
You know, just like you're always trading up on mana. It feels sneaky. Like it's kind of like a Spell Piercy gotcha card.
Yes.
Where it is kind of narrow, so when you use it, you feel really good about it. It's a great card all around.
Even when you have open deck lists, you just like, you know, you forget to look at it. And here it is, the namesake card, card of the tournament, card of the year, whatever you want to say. Underworld Breach is on the stack.
Now, the timing here is interesting. So, of course, Joe has to figure out when is the right time to fire up this Thraben Charm.
Yeah.
Could fire it off right now, but Grinding Station complicates that. The
Yeah.
station will allow for a graveyard rebuild pretty quickly.
Yeah. So, I think with the Grinding Station already in play, the Exile, the Graveyard type thing, off the table. Not possible. That would have been the time where I think you just hit the enchantment.
Charm can do that too. A lot of modes.
Yep. So it feels like this is a destroy enchantment mode, and this is when you would kind of want to be doing it. But the problem is you know, all that is needed is a land drop. And you can just Shifting Woodland the Breach again, and we're all good to go here. So there that goes. As long as Rickie has a land and Delirium is maintained here. Oh, yeah, it was floating green already. So, yep, all locked up. Nice Thraben Charm.
That's a sneaky card that is Shifting Woodland. It's a shifty one.
It really is. You know, this was kind of the card that, you know, really saw its home in the Bat Nadu decks. You know, that was really the spicy one, being able to copy a Nadu, Shuko it up as your land, but ends up being really strong in these Breach decks as well. So Rickie, up a game, 9-0 on top of the world. What's Joe Leo going to do against Rickie?
A lot of cards that come in here, you know, and a lot of different angles of attack. So Stony Silence, obviously phenomenal. Turning off all the Mox and turning off the artifacts, a big deal. Orbs Chant can be used in response to the Breach, kind of in a similar fashion. Kind of really shutting it down. You're saying, all right, you got a Breach, but you can't really use it. Sorry, maybe next turn. We got Wear Tear here, which can do the same sort of effect. Wear Tear is obviously great against Urza Saga.
Oh, Jim, sorry to correct you there. That's just Wear.
Oh, no tear.
Nah.
Man,
Left
really,
the tears at home.
Yeah, you really can't, you can't do that.
Just ripped off the other half.
Yeah, cut it in half.
Yeah.
Just stuff it in the sleeve and hope it's good enough.
You know, Joe is really that confident. You know, it's like, I don't need the other half of this spell.
No tears here.
It's a big flex. But really impressive stuff.
It is pretty cool. I can't wait to see the card like just floating around in the sleeve, you know?
yes.
Sliced off. But yeah, the wares are pretty good also. I mean, could bring in a card like Wrath of the Skies, which is pretty effective against Breach, but you got to be aggressive, you know? And trying to sit back on a card like that, like trying to kill your stuff but also my stuff gets in the way too. Not like the plan Joe wants to be really going on here. Joe is the beatdown deck. Joe needs to get in, get a flash, get a good threat going down, and then have a little backup as far as hate goes.
Yeah, I think Wrath of the Skies having a one of in the sideboard is more of a, I'm going to scare maybe less experienced players into over-respecting it.
Yep.
People are really afraid of that card. Maybe some people see it and they're like, all right, let's get these Urza Sagas out of my deck, please.
Yep.
The blowout scenario, it's like, no, that's not how the games really play out. So then from Rickie, what are we doing to kind of close this match out?
So Rickie mostly is going to be answering the sideboard cards from Joe. Cards like Nature's Claim is great. We've got Vampire's Vengeance. Any vampires in Joe's deck? I don't think so.
I don't think so, yeah.
No. So little interaction, make sure you can kind of clean the board up and kind of keep things going. The game is going to get messier, scrappier. We're going to see a lot of hate cards. The game's going to slow down. So having ways to actually kill for creatures is good too, ways to answer the other their hate cards. And then I guess the secondary win condition, there isn't really any sort of like surgical extraction effect or anything like that. So the Jace could possibly come in, and Jace is also good in a scrappy game.
Yeah.
You can just cast the Planeswalker and start drawing cards, too, and plays well with the sweepers, too. So mostly just kind of preparing for a slower game, ready to answer the hate, and kind of ready to play either a long game or a combo game, depending on how the game pans out.
Absolutely. And if you want to check out some of these decks, maybe get some of these cards sent to your house, there's a sweet new flash sale that we are doing this week. It is going to end Monday. Jim, walk us through this.
Yeah, free shipping. Shipping ain't cheap, folks.
It sure isn't.
And it's also hard to find anything for free these days. So this is one you want to get in on. Make sure you don't miss out. And all single purchases over $50. Fill up your cart with some awesome cards. And on StarCityGames.com, hit the buy button. Say shipping. No, thanks. I'm good. Just send it over here, and you're good to go.
I'm getting $50 or more of Sliver Queens. I'm doing it. It's on the screen. I'm kind of like Ron Burgundy. What's on the teleprompter, I'm going to read. What's on the flash sale, I'm going to buy. Sliver Queens, I'm selling out. You better get them now if you want some.
I'm going to buy some tears.
Yeah, okay.
So for Joe here, make sure,
yeah.
Let's get the wear alongside the tear again. I don't like seeing those cards separated.
Okay, that's fair.
There's something wrong about that.
I'm more of a wear guy, but I really don't judge if you're more of a tear guy.
You got to do the wear and the tear, all right? You got to fuse it.
Oh God.
I will only cast that spell fused.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't leave Valium.
Way to make a stand.
I know.
All right, these players are shuffling up, getting ready to go. Sounds like we have a birthday being sung outside of our booth. If it's not to Mason, we got to go. It's not that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
You get only one birthday per day. It's just, that's a rule.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so getting into game number 2 here.
Kind of a fun sideboard card in Joe's sideboard I haven't seen too much in Burrington Forge Tender.
Yeah.
That's a classic sideboard card. It's a 1-drop with pro red that can prevent all red damage to all of your creature. Is it going to get pro red or prevent all the damage?
Yeah, prevents all damage of a red source. Yeah,
so it can counter a Pyroclasm or Sweeper effect too.
Yeah.
That card's seen a lot of play in history and really cool at Ranger Captain.
Oh yeah, I mean I remember just absolutely terrorizing burn players. They see that you get the timeouts, they just leave their match or they just absolutely can't beat it. And a spicy one of like that with 4 Ranger Captains. Really nice.
Yeah, most Boros decks aren't utilizing the tutory effect of Captain that much. Most just get a Guide of Souls, get Ocelot Pride. Those cards are great, but kind of cool to see here.
Absolutely, and here is one of the best 1-drops of all time. That's surprisingly not the best 1-drop right now, but it's Ragavan coming to do some work here. And Ragavan actually incredibly terrifying from the Breach side. Every card is so very castable.
This is, if you're playing against Breach, this is what you want. A Ragavan on turn 1 is it. You want the ability to pressure. It is damage. It's a mana advantage too, which is huge because it allows you to deploy your threats while also letting up interaction. And then you're right, just steal some cards, Yeah,
I was just going to say flip a bobble.
I was
just going to say it. And, just a free
you see Rickie's face.
Look
too.
at Rickie.
Yep.
I think he's asking a judge, can I drop from the event now? I mean, I don't think anyone can financially recover from that.
How could this happen to me?
Absolutely. There's the treasure. Here comes the bauble. Now, the one nice thing, I guess, for Rickie is now there's a bauble in the yard in case you have an Emery or something like that. But looks like Joe is no stranger to bauble. Just first bauble, probably of the weekend. Knows the fetch land trick. Keeps the card. What can't Joe do?
Unfortunately, it's play another threat.
Yeah.
Ragavan's
touche.
great, but it's the table setter. It's the appetizer. We want to get into the main course here, too.
Yeah.
So, great start, but really need to keep going.
All right, so there is Emery with that bobble in the yard, supercharged. And there is, kind of the Splinter Twin from Grinding Station, flipping over Grinding Station and not having to draw it.
Yeah, so this charge there, very, very likely. When you think about Joe's hand, whenever your opponent does something a little weird, right? They play a Ragavan and they don't play a 2-drop, you have to think, well, what's their hand? It's got to be all interaction.
Exactly, yep, 100%. Because that is the turn to pressure. If there was a Ranger captain, smack that onto the table,
Absolutely. A great turn for Rickie, though, being able to Emery and Urza Saga and get a Mox in play and get some cards in the graveyard. Very, very productive.
Yep, absolutely. I think the only thing we're missing a little bit here is, not being able to make some constructs, but that Saga on 1 was a very real choice here, and it is almost always, I want to supercharge the combo, I want to win next turn. I saw a Breach in hand. Saga goes and gets a Mox Amber, and all we need is a land. I think we might even have an extra Mox Amber in the yard. And if that's the case, you can Breach Emery, Mox Amber a couple of times, and then play the Grinding Station. So from what I see, we don't even need a land.
Now, the fear, though, of course, that, like we said, we deduce that Joe's hand is probably interaction heavy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of possible avenues.
Oh,
whether
a ton.
It's Thraben Charm, Wear Tear, instant speed actions. And, of course, this turn could maybe be a Stony Silence or a Ranger Captain or something like that, too. So
yeah, it's in a perfect world. We have the win wrapped up, but that is not how Magic works.
Yeah, post-board games very, very rarely are a perfect world.
Yeah, 100%. All right, 2 mana, Goblin Bombardment. Pretty useless right now.
Yeah, not quite the threat you're looking for.
Yeah. You can tell some people are very much, they have their deck. And just by how many signatures and how awesome Joe's deck looks like Joe's been playing Boros for a while.
Not surprising. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're right. Modern players, they latch onto a deck and they just becomes their whole personality.
Yeah. Or this is all Joe's signatures on his own cards. I don't judge.
I would have a major amount of respect for that.
I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1 floating, presumably, and a colorless. Emery, still 1 colorless floating. Now, this is definitely fueled for the combo here, as there's another Mox Opal, it looks like. So if Rickie goes for it, and Joe doesn't have an answer.
I think we see the Ragavan treasure here really adding up.
Yeah.
If there was 1 mana of interaction up, that's a little iffy. But there's 3.
Yeah.
That could be multiple interaction points.
Okay. Taps Mox Opal, sacks a Lantern, so likely just trying to find land. Didn't go for the win here. It did look pretty vulnerable. I get it. If you only have the 1 Breach, nothing else, pretty unlikely that this is going to work. And you don't have, the most pressure on you right now. So no point in rushing. Maybe try to find a Spell Snare and go off with a little protection later.
Yeah, and Ragavan is pressure, like we're saying. But, the damage has kind of been done, right? There's already a lot of mana in play. 2 damage a turn isn't that much damage. And, I mean, maybe they get lucky and spike another bobble or something at the top. But there's time.
Yeah. I think I saw a flash of an Orum's Chant in Joe's hand and maybe a March as well. Orum's Chant is one of the harder ones to deal with. It is one of those cards where, you can't Spell Snare it. You can Swan Song it. And this should not be possible. This should not be a castable spell.
Oh, yeah, that Mox Amber does not tap for red.
Yeah, Mox does not tap for red unless Opal floated mana outside of this, but maybe we'll see if we can have the judge get contacted.
Yeah, very easy to shortcut Mox Amber to just being a Mox, but of course it is tied to the color of a legendary creature if it is in play.
Yeah, so we'll see if we can hold them up on that. Looks like we are pausing a bit there.
You know what? I just blame Daylight Savings.
Yeah. Okay, if that was red from the Opal that was still being floated, maybe it's all good. Okay, never mind. Floated to red with Opal. My apologies to the gamers. That looked like we tapped that earlier, so. Daylight savings time's getting me too.
Yep,
yeah,
yep,
absolutely.
It is nice having an entire day, which is a built-in excuse that everyone can relate to.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely, absolutely. This was for you, chat. You know, I know you always, whenever we see something, we want to make sure we get everything corrected. So I was trying to be on top of my game, and instead I played myself.
Yep.
Would not be the first time, and it will not be the last, Joe.
Most certainly not. I'm here for it, though.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So in the dust settles here, Rickie is down some resources, of course. With the Saga gone, no land drop. A Mox Opal does not tap for mana. And then a lot riding on Emery. If Emery is dealt with as well, the Mox Amber won't tap for mana, and things can't be returned. And if Joe can follow up with a big push here, this is going to be pretty important.
Yeah.
And there it is.
Absolutely. Deals with the creature. Another Galvanic Discharge. That's a lot of them. That is a lot of them left in. So Joe is very much prioritizing. I don't want to be that much of an aggressor. I want to be the controlling player.
Yeah, and it is like, when you are sideboarding and playing, you are playing against your opponent's sideboard plan, not their main deck plan, too.
100%.
And it is important that the creatures are very important in these post-board games.
Ooh, Stony Silence on a board like this looks like it just... Stony Silence on a board like this looks like it absolutely closes it out.
Thanks, Corey.
You're welcome, Jim. Yeah, Stony Silence here. One of the best cards. Low-key, maybe the best card against Breach. It's deal-withable. If that's a word. It's definitely possible, but not from this I have one island game plan here. Yeah,
the lack of lands is very troubling for Rickie. Getting out of this requires a bit of finagling, having mana available to kind of do multiple things in a turn, or get a card advantage engine online.
Yeah.
Which Rickie's not really been able to do yet, until now, I guess.
Wow, okay, just passes. So Ragavan and Emery, and not even bringing any baubles back, really no point. So now we got to find a Nature's Claim and green mana. Maybe already have the Nature's Claim. But the one thing about Stony Silence that's the most brutal is, like, this Teamer Breach deck was just this beautiful masterpiece of being able to deal with anything with the help of Urza Saga. Bounce creatures with Spellbomb, Lantern to deal with graveyards, and Haywire Might to deal with any problematic artifacts or enchantment. Stony Silence saying no to Haywire Might there really is what makes the card so good.
Yeah, very, very powerful, of course, very potent. I mean, the Emery still works.
Yeah.
Emery can still just kind of pull a bauble out of the graveyard. The plan is to eventually remove Stony Silence, probably, or at least build up enough stuff in play to make the Urza Saga threatening.
Yeah.
So, but I guess having the ability to block Ragavan here is what Rickie's valuing.
Definitely.
All right, we've devolved into an odd sort of draw-go game.
A very, very reasonable game here so far. I know I saw Jace. I think I did see a green card. Kind of looked like a Nature's Claim to me in hand, so we might be pretty close to, being online here if Rickie can find a fetch land.
Yeah, as I said, post-board games get messy, and this is a pretty messy game.
They really do.
2-1 can't get through a 1-2. Half the cards in play don't do anything. Treasures are also off as well. A bombardment, no creatures to sacrifice. It's just ugly.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of draw go here. These are the games where, a Flage just shuts the door, but that is one of the more popular cards that people do take out, leaving a small number of them, but...
Please cast the Flage here.
Yeah, please do. Make me look silly. Come on!
All right.
They had an opportunity. They missed.
Wow. 2 lands discarded. Pretty telling how this game is going, but that's a huge pickup. No tokens for Joe, but a whole new hand is exactly what the doctor ordered here because just not much is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Season Pyromancer ends up being kind of the new Fable in these decks, and I like it. Being able to discard immediately. Sometimes you just don't have the time to loot the next turn to be able to find something. Sometimes you need answers now in this format.
For sure, and the variety of bodies is very good bombardment as well.
Yeah.
Just having the ability to have 3 bodies up front and 2 bodies in the back as well.
Yep, absolutely.
How about 2 Stony Silence?
Pretty good.
Let's really get this game.
Pretty good.
Really get this game locked up nice and tight.
Yeah, and I think that almost does it. It is so tough to be able to deal with one of them. 2 makes it so much more difficult. You got to be able to have the Nature's Claim and then a breach into Nature's Claim. Not impossible, but it is very tricky.
Very tough on one island.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Now, yeah, the Seasoned Pyromancer found the gas, and now Joe's starting to cook.
Yeah, this should be one more draw step, and we are heading on into game number 3 between these two undefeated players. Weird game.
Yeah, tough game for Rickie, obviously. Rickie
Yeah.
just actually never drew a land.
Yeah.
You know, like, and, you know,
Yeah, no kidding.
people say that all the time. I just didn't draw any lands, you know, but
Like-
that was actually, like, how many turns is that? 7 turns or something
Yeah.
like that? So,
Magic players fabricate all the time as well.
Yep.
Exaggerate a little bit.
Yep.
But that one, straight up no lands. Any changes from either players or kind of just sending it back?
I think mostly sending it back, you
Yeah.
know, just understanding that, like, that's what a lot of the post-board games are going to look like, you know?
Yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree. So, if you want to get rid of some of your cards, maybe you are done with your deck. Maybe you need to get a different deck here in Modern real soon. Jim, where should we go?
StarCityGames.com. Sell your cards.StarCityGames.com.
Absolutely.
You can sell your cards, and the feature I really enjoy here is if you choose store credit as your payment option rather than cash, 30% markup.
Yes.
You are going to buy more Magic cards. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to Corey.
Yeah.
Don't lie to your friends, your
We'll
family.
know.
Yeah. Everyone knows. All
Yes.
right. You're going to buy more
Yes.
Magic cards. So get that 30% markup, have it in the bank, and the next time you are on StarCityGames.com or at an event, you just say, hey, put it on my tab.
So my question for you, Jim, is when you became a millionaire with selling those 17 Shukos, you know, did you get it all into store credit? So you basically, you know, own SCG at this point, or did you get it in cash and just invest it all?
So it was actually at Pro Tour Lord of the Rings.
Okay,
It was
okay.
on Friday before the Pro Tour.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I used the credit to buy 1 copy of the One Ring.
Wow.
Yeah. MTG Finance.
Wow. The one of one. So you had to battle Post Malone for that one.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
It's mine
gotcha. Okay, impressive.
My precious.
Jim, why are you foaming at the mouth?
Posty took it from me.
Oh God, too good, too
That's
good.
The one downside of the ring being banned is that.
Yeah.
You know, less Gollum voices in the commentary booth.
So much less. But you know what? I'm glad that you're keeping it alive. You know,
Oh, yeah,
you're,
my-
you're making it work.
My 2-year-old loves Gollum.
Okay.
I do the Gollum impression or whatever. He thinks it's the funniest thing ever. So I'm like down on the floor, crawling around, going, my impression. He's just laughing. He has never seen Lord of the Rings, obviously.
Okay,
And
okay.
I kind of can't wait till when it's time for him to watch it, and he's going to see Gollum for the first time and be like, why is that character crawling on the floor like Dada?
Yeah,
I don't understand. What is he doing?
Why is Gollum copying my dad? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I know you were the biggest Lord of the Rings fan, and right before that Pro Tour, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to kind of get in the mode. I never watched them as a kid, so I watched all of them, and I remember talking to you about it, and you were like jealous.
I was
you were
extremely
extremely
envious.
jealous that I got to watch them without seeing them, and I got to say, they were really good. Really good.
Yeah.
I loved the first two. The third, maybe not my favorite. But
Really?
Yeah, you know, I like the first two more. I don't know why.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a set for me.
Yeah.
For me, it's just one 12-hour movie. You know,
Oh God. See, I don't have that attention span.
that's fair.
For me, it was 15 different sessions of finishing these
It
movies.
was 1,492 TikToks.
Exactly. That's how I got through it. And I wonder how my attention span is bad. Probably because of TikTok.
Most certainly.
Yes. All right, players gearing up for game number 3 here. And Jim, how does it feel, you know, when you are 9-0, you know, you're playing to be essentially the king of the tournament. I know you've been in these situations before. How do you kind of, you know, deal with those kind of pressures, deal with those spotlights? You got a lot of attention on you. What's your secret?
It's kind of crazy, you know. When you're in that match, like I've been in a match before playing for 8-0 at a Pro Tour, and you're the last 2 players, and it just you're here. You gotta feel a camaraderie almost.
Yeah.
Where like with your fellow EXO player, knowing that you 2 are the only 2 left on the hill, and
Yep.
there'll be one of you at the end. You know, and it's just kind of cool. You
It
know,
is
you,
cool.
You feel a connection. You're just like, all right, here we are. You know,
Yeah.
everyone else is below us down there. We're on the hill. One of us is getting knocked off.
Yeah.
But we're both still here. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. No, I've had my one opportunity where I was 7-1 at a Pro Tour, and I was, you know, I kind of got that mentality of like, oh, I'm crushing, but I really haven't accomplished anything yet.
Yep.
I got a little too in my head, I think, and I went 1-7 day 2. Finished
I
with a
have
good
never,
old octopus.
never done that in my entire life.
Yeah, to go 1-7.
On day 2 of Pro Tour, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
You went 08.
No, I went 8-0 and then 1-7.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
I didn't octopus, thankfully. But,
Okay,
but yeah,
okay.
it was a bad day, too.
Wow, what a one-upper. Firing it off, we got Urza Saga on 1 into a Soul Guide Lantern and a Bauble, so pretty aggressive start, and this Urza Saga very much threatening, and this is, to me, Rickie saying, hey, I am going to win very early. Well, we gotta probably stop this game here, huh? I mean, Wear was on the deck list, Tear was not. I believe we just tore something.
That's a deck list error to me.
Well,
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not stopping the game again. I learned my lesson the first time, so we'll let the judges deal with that.
I'd be okay with the judge using a Sharpie and just blacking out the Tear side. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. But,
nope. Totally with you.
But also,
totally with you.
1-mana Stone Rain.
Pretty good.
Love it.
I mean, Joe learned from that first game. Had the opportunity to 1-mana Stone Rain with the March. I love the play here. That's always when I'm, playing Saga on 1. That's the one thing I'm worried about is like, okay, am I okay if this does get blown up? Do I have the opportunity to play around it? Those are the questions I ask myself immediately. It's not like, if they have it, would they even do it? It's like, no, they're going to Stone Rain me for 1 mana.
All right. I mean, dashing Ragavan is interesting. I think Ragavan dash, obviously you get the immediate impact of it.
Yeah.
But the problem is the board's clear.
Yeah.
It's a treasure. It didn't hit a card that's relevant to cast. There are a lot of castable cards in the Breach deck, not necessarily cards that you want. Mox Opal. I mean, I guess maybe you could do something with the treasures, but still we see a clean board for Joe. So the Ragavan hit was cool. The Tear was cool. Or the Wear, Wear Tear, whatever one that's not in the deck list here. But now we see an empty board, 17 life for Rickie, and a little time to get things going again.
Absolutely. I'm kind of with you. There's Saga number 2. And let's get ready to rumble. One of the low-key best cards in the deck here. Malevolent Rumble. Makes everything so smooth. Being able to flip over cards that you don't want to draw. I'm looking at you, Grinding Station. You get cards that you want into your hand. Maybe land number 3. And you get a Scion for next turn to really make those turn 3 wins just so buttery smooth.
Low-key, one of the best cards in the format, maybe?
I think so.
Yeah, it is it's seeing play in the Eldrazi decks. It's seeing play in the Yawgmoth decks. It's seeing play in the Breach decks.
Yeah.
It's just a really powerful card.
Yeah, absolutely love it. I think it was Jason Yee at PT Amsterdam was just saying, yeah, this card is Ponder. And I was just like, well, that seems kind of strange. And I'm like, wow, it really is. It's 1 mana, being able to look at that many cards, ramps you, kind of does it all. Jason, of course, phenomenal pro player.
Yeah, very, very good.
Yeah. All right, I got a glimpse at the hand. Looks like Spell Pierce, Breach, Flame of Anor, Saga number 3, and that Misty. So that Misty did have to find the red source. Already had, oh, there it is.
Wow.
Brings it in. I mean, I get it. Like, there's either Whip Flares, Fire Sprouts, Flame of Anors, all kinds of stuff. And the main thing is Ranger Captain here being able to be this anti-breach card, and it's going to look good. Like, now this was a spot where Rickie could have won the game. With Ranger on the board, cannot win the game. Can cast the breach as a, hey, red Doomblade, basically, to the Ranger. Or
what can't Breach do?
No kidding. No kidding. Get cast on April 1st.
Very fair.
All right. Mox Opal coming into play. And now you really got to seem like it is what I would be doing at least is trying to distract my opponent with constructs, get in the way, slow down the game, and hope that my opponent has one of these extremely reactive to the combo hands. And now it's just Rickie will make a construct for the next 4 turns.
Yeah, Captain plus Fortender it's not like a lock, but like it's a nice piece to have in play.
Yeah.
The Rangers is protecting you. The Fortender is protecting the Ranger, but it's a trained Armadon and an Eager Cadet.
Yeah.
They're just 2 creatures in play, and once these contracts come down, the Ragavan's cool too, but we're going to see some pretty huge monsters really, really fast.
Yeah, totally agree. But who's protecting the Forge Tender?
It's true. No one ever thinks about that.
I know.
You know?
I know. Forge Tender's just always helping other people out. Who's helping the Forge Tender? Construct comes into play, gets rid of the Scion, values the more than likely Surveil here over the Scion. That's a real choice.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, really developing here for Rickie. You know,
Yep.
now the Mox Opal is on. More constructs coming. Search from the Saga, and again, you see Joe's creatures all untapped.
Yeah. This would be one of the games. Okay, Charm, I think, was very, very needed here. Oh, and that Spell Pierce.
I love a good Spell Pierce.
So good.
Get off my
plane. So
plane.
good. Okay, so here is a really nice thing that we might see lined up, and a play that Rickie had available. We can, of course, do this at another point, is get the spiciest Aether Spellbomb in the world.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's not pro artifacts.
Nope.
Oh, baby. So now, not only is Rickie presenting larger creatures than Joe, where I think Rickie is ahead just on the battlefield, just with power and toughness, being able to win the game by crunching in with a couple 6/6s, especially with this other Saga that's going to get played. But now you have the ability to go, all right, Joe, you done with your turn? Bounce Ranger, untap, win the game. If Joe decides to tap out, do anything to try to, stabilize this board a little bit more.
Yeah, Rickie playing very, very well here, showing the multiple angles of attack.
100%.
I'm going to do this, I'm also going to do this, I'm also going to do this, and you just can't handle all of it.
Yeah. Now, really impressive stuff. Saga on 1, pass the turn. Huge turn for both of these players' tournaments here. As we kind of been running the numbers, this is a bit of a bigger tournament than there's a risk, though, here. I was going to say sorry to interrupt you, but sorry to interrupt myself.
I wasn't talking.
Yeah. This is a really, really big turn. Being able to hold up some disruption here is pretty much what you have to do, and it's a big cost to bounce that Ranger Captain to hand, because if you're wrong and you can't win the next turn, now you get another 1-drop for free.
That's true.
That is not good.
That is true. A little value there.
Yeah.
So Orange Chan shuts it down and then back to the value train. But
exactly.
Again, I'm seeing the Construct train here right now.
Yeah.
And getting bigger and bigger. Once Rickie has the ability to play offense and defense, these Constructs, things are going to get out of hand. Ragavan does not like to not attack.
No.
Defensive Ragavan is not where you want to be.
Yeah. And I think the only thing that outpaces Constructs here, and they're honestly getting to the point where this is not even possible, it's Flayed. But we have not seen that in the post-board games from Joe. And I know a lot of players that are pretty confident on taking that out. It's still one of the cards I fear quite often. It's one of the most powerful cards in Modern.
Yeah, it's one of the elements of it. It's bad in your game once. It's just way too slow.
Yeah.
But when games get scrappy like this, having access to a grindy card again actually is kind of cool.
Absolutely. Here's another Construct. And whoa.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty telling. That's pretty telling.
This is interesting, too, because the Saga plan is going so well.
Yeah.
To want to still go for it is very interesting.
Yes. And look, floating the mana, going for it. You know what this screams to me? That we have a Swan Song and that Breach. Okay. So this is a...
and they were to float before search here.
So this screams to me, hey, it's Mox Opal number 2 time.
Can't float a colorless to Mox Opal.
Yeah. But you can with the Saga. And 1 colorless, 1 red. What could it be?
Mox Opal!
Ah, there we go. All right, here's Mox Opal. We are almost assuredly going to see a Breach. What are we going to see for a backup? If Joe has something like double Orum's Chant?
Yeah, this is interesting because I really don't feel like Rickie is under the pressure to do this right now.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I would have made Constructs until my Sagas are gone and then win for it.
Right. And Rickie's been so patient up until this point.
Yes.
It's interesting to see either Rickie has it all rolled up. Every line of defense is already there.
Yeah. And that would be all rolled up has to be 2 Swan Songs. That's the only way that it's rolled up. And if this is in play, it's over because there's a counterspell in the yard. So this is an Underworld Breach. Now we are going to start demonstrating the Grinding Station loop. Here goes Grinding Station on the stack. There's going to be the 1 charm. Spell Pierce from the yard.
So not even 1 Orb Chant.
Yes, and there it is.